You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Ishtar, a bearded goddess of sex and war from ancient Mesopotamia. She was hot-tempered with a lust for conquest, and her priestesses were transgender.
Oya, Yoruba goddess of the wind, storms, lightning, tornadoes, thunder, commerce, and war. She rules the destruction that comes before positive change.
Atalanta, fleet-footed huntress and heroine of ancient Greece who joined the Argonauts. She helped slay the Caledonian boar and refused to marry any man who couldn't beat her in a foot race. She also became a PDA lion.
Itzpapalotl, a skeletal warrior goddess of the Aztec pantheon, sometimes depicted with butterfly wings lined with obsidian knives.
This episode is part of our Women of Myth series, where we interview podcasters, authors, scholars, and more about the amazing women of world mythology.
It's based on our book of the same name, Women of Myth, illustrated by the amazing Sarah Richard. It's available wherever books are sold, or go to ancienthistoryfangirl.com to find links to a bookstore near you.
Ah, goblins!
I'm Jenny Williamson.
And I'm Jen McMenemy.
And this is Ancient History Fangirl. So today we are joined by a very special guest, Mary Catrin Phillips of MythsnTits. So Mary is an illustrator who we both adore, and she has a special focus on Greek and Welsh mythology, and we are both huge fans. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're both massive fans. I've been a fan for ages. I own several of Mary's works, and I'm always...
Jen, how many things are on your walls right now of Mary's? There are quite a few.
1, 2, 3, at least 4 that I can think of.
You're my best customer.
So tell us all about yourself. How did you get started as an artist, and how would you describe your work?
I have pretty much always wanted to be an artist. My great-grandfather was an artist, so I kind of grew up with quite a creative family. So I always just thought that that's what I was going to do, really. And I studied it through school, and I went to art college, and then I went to university. And it's just always been the plan for me. I studied it for GCSE and sixth form. And then after sixth form, I took a year and studied a foundation course. So you get to explore loads of different aspects of art to figure out what you want to do. Like if you want to be a ceramicist, a painter. And I really enjoy illustration. I enjoy telling stories and through my art. And then I studied illustration in Cardiff Met then for in university. So yeah. And now I graduated about 2 years ago now. So I'm still doing it. I don't think I'll ever stop.
Are you officially full-time now, Mary?
Yes, I am basically full-time now. So since lockdown and COVID, I quit my day job just before everything kicked off.
Oh, that is a very familiar story for me.
Yeah, Jen did the same thing.
Oh my gosh, no way. It was scary. Very scary, but we're here. We're still here. We're thriving. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's basically full-time now. And then I'm a childminder as well. So I look after a little baby girl in the week, which is really fun.
Yeah. And you have an Etsy shop, right?
Yeah, I have an Etsy store. So I do sell prints, stickers, tote bags, t-shirts and sweatshirts very soon.
Mythology is such a big part of your art. And one of the things I really love about your art is it's got this sort of modern kind of like, I don't know, I'm bad at judging what time periods art reminds me of, but like it reminds me it's kind of like this sort of 80s vibe to me that I really love.
Yeah. I love the 80s. I'm obsessed with the 80s. I love it.
And your colors are just so fantastic and bright and vibrant. They bring classical ideas and images to this really vibrant 21st century. Is that what we're in? 21st century feel to them.
It is.
God, what year is it? I don't know. Yeah, that's so cool the way you marry kind of this sort of like modern sensibility, at least, you know, like from where we sit, because we do ancient history all the time, like a modern sensibility with like this really sort of ancient classical themes. And you have, you know, Greek and Welsh mythology are both big through lines in all of your art. So what draws you to these myths and what is it about these stories that keeps you inspired?
I feel that we can all connect to gods and goddesses and deities, especially within Greek mythology, because there's so much about them. We can really connect to the characters, and that's kind of why I give it a more modern twist and more modern colours, so that we can really, you know, if with the Raven Maenads, I want to cover them in colourful leopard print because that's what everyone's embracing nowadays, and that's what we like. We like colourful house situations like rooms and decor, and why not give that to the gods and goddesses because they're just cool anyway.
Like if you were going to give someone like a very general like introduction to Welsh mythology, how would you describe it?
So I would start off from where it all comes from. So the tales are basically these crazy, imaginative, magical tales, and they come from the Mabinogion. So that is a book which also represents a tree. So every story is a branch from that tree. And the Mabinogion, similar to Greek mythology, it was basically just orally spoken, you know, told through the generations. But in the 12th to the 13th century, it was all written down. So growing up in Welsh schools, we were taught it in primary school and in secondary school. So it's kind of always been part of my education.
I looked at the Mabinogion as well when I was researching some of the episodes that I did, but I didn't do a huge deep dive. I was just kind of looking at it and picking a few small things to include.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about the Mabinogion. You can do that. Like you can pick little parts of the stories, but it also kind of, they explain a lot about our land. So a lot about Wales and the mountains, because they're often named after characters from the Mabinogion as well, and giants and elves and goblins. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit brought to life and part of our history, you know?
You've done a lot of Greek mythology and your mythology illustrations, and now you're moving into Welsh mythology. Can you tell us what you're most looking forward to illustrating?
Probably carrying on more with Welsh mythology. So I've done kind of the base level of feminist icons within Welsh mythology, but I kind of want to push it further. I want to be a bit more imaginative about it and create these characters more as people, because within Welsh mythology, it's not as though you get so much of a personality from these characters. You kind of get the base level image of this character, and it's more about what they do within the stories rather than about themselves. So I'm kind of looking forward to giving some of them more of a personality, you know?
Yeah, like filling in the gaps a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And also doing it from a queer and female perspective as well.
That is like really exciting about your art is how queer it is. I was just telling Jen, I think I need a queer as Welsh folk tea towel in my life. Like, I think that is a thing I need.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, it was really fun to do. And that's another thing that I've really enjoyed doing is bringing back the Welsh lady and kind of making her more of a modern take on a Welsh lady. Like, I am a Welsh lady, but I wouldn't just sit around knitting. I'd like to have a beer.
Lots of very traditional, very queer Welsh ladies out there.
Yeah, exactly. And love it. And also exploring gender throughout Welsh history as well.
How does queerness show up in the Welsh myths? Are there any queer couples and love stories that you really love?
Unfortunately, there's not, because I have looked through my sources and nothing that I've spotted yet. But I think it is down to Christianity kind of taking over.
I was gonna say, do you think it's the person who was writing down the stories as opposed to the original origins of the stories? Because we saw it a lot when we were doing like the Ulster cycle, like I call it, your Christian monk is showing, when you can see like something from an older culture has definitely been sort of demonized a little bit to bring up something that's a more Christian value. Well, they didn't do too badly with Ferdiad and Cuchulainn.
Well, Ferdiad and Cuchulainn is very queer. Like that for sure. Yeah.
It's very queer, but I would say that like they don't demonize that relationship too badly.
No, I think they kind of straightwash it a little bit.
Absolutely. And Ferdiad has to die because, that is the trope that literally the Christian monks started.
I mean, it happened in the Iliad too.
Ugh.
So how's gender treated or depicted in Welsh mythology?
So I went into this and I was quite surprised to see that women do quite all right in Celtic life and in mythology, because they're often seen as kind of the queens, the goddesses, and they're often worshipped more. They also inherit everything from their family line, so it's the female bloodline that is stronger than the male bloodline.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
And also they do better in marriage law as well, so they actually get to own whatever they have, basically. They don't just have to give it over to the husband. They make their own decisions as well. That's what I really like about Welsh mythology. I've touched upon Rhiannon. So Rhiannon is like the great Welsh queen. She's also the horse goddess, and Stevie Nicks' inspiration as well. So she actually was supposed to marry this, I can't remember his name now.
Some dude.
It's all right. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He's irrelevant anyway. He's not a nice person in the story. So she was supposed to marry this guy and she got out of it twice. And it was out of her own instincts to get out of it as well. She was the decision maker and she basically cast a magical spell on him. So she ended up marrying the man of her dreams, which was Pryderi. And he is actually known as not being very bright, not being very clever. He's a bit of a himbo prince, which we love.
She does the thinking for both of them, really.
Exactly. And yeah. And she chose him, so I like that.
Yeah, like she's the one taking the action and like the agency in that relationship. That's so cool.
Yeah, I just like that about because I feel like that really represents Welsh women. Like we're quite strong and we're quite strong-minded and we don't mind like bossing anyone about, really.
I support that.
This is going to drop after a series of episodes that we did about female druids and the Morrigan that draw a lot on Irish myth. And I looked into the Mabinogion to bring a little bit of Welsh myth in when we were talking about female druids. And the part that I used was, it was a part about the 9 sisters. And like there's these horrible things that keep happening to these poor 9 sisters in these Arthurian legends.
Keep getting killed over and over again.
Yeah. I was just like, well, this is just terrible, and it fit really well into, what we were doing in that arc. But I really wanted to give more space to breathe to Welsh mythology in this conversation and bring more of a feminist lens to it. Because I was like, I know this is not, the whole picture. So I wanted to make sure that I was giving it more room. So I guess like that's kind of like my larger questions, like who's your favorite strong female character in Welsh mythology? And how does feminism kind of manifest itself in these myths?
My favourite at the moment is probably Arianrhod. So Arianrhod is the goddess, the moon goddess, and she also is in control of taking the spirits of fallen soldiers into the other world. So a lot of the female characters within Welsh mythology, they're all otherworldly. So they all have that power to like birth and rebirth and also to take away life as well. So Arianrhod is quite a special person because she controls her whole life. They say that she is a virgin, but only because it's the ancient version of virgin, whereas she's not married. She still is free with her sexuality. And my favourite thing about Arianrhod is the fact she has a massive thing for mermen.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
She loves sleeping with mermen.
Oh my gosh, tell me more about that.
Mary has an Arianrhod sweatshirt, which is great for the cold months. It's amazing. It's in her Etsy shop. I'm just saying. Can I also ask, like, what kind of mermen are they? Are they like top half human, bottom half fish, or other way around?
You know what? I have no idea. I've just watched The Lighthouse as well, and this crazy mermaid character in that as well. I looked into it, and basically there's no characters that she falls in love with. It's just said, like, she just fancies mermen, which I was like, that is amazing. So I'm definitely going to create a piece where she is in the water surrounded by all these mermen. But yeah, I just love her. And she's also compared to Artemis and Athena quite a lot because she has female followers. She also has a castle, which is Castell City, which means spinning castle. So that is in the Aurora Borealis, so like in the Milky Way. So when you see the stars glowing, that is supposed to be a castle in the sky. And it's also in Ynys Môn, so that is Anglesey. So it's a tiny island just off the north of Wales. So that is supposed to represent like the other world, which is called Anon in Welsh. So when you hear Anon, Anofon, that means other world.
Oh, we did okay, so number one, we did a whole episode about Anglesey and the Druids' Last Stand. And we also talked about, there was a poem, the Anovin poem, I forget what it was. There was a poem about that we talked about in the Female Druids episode.
Yeah, I read about that recently, actually.
Yeah, and the nine sisters appear in that, and King Arthur steals their cauldron or something. It's like a little small, tiny part of it.
God damn you, Arthur.
Freaking Arthur.
Yeah, he's got a lot to answer for.
He's got so much to answer for. Just so fed up with him. What Excalibur is his sword, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the sword.
Yeah, I read that it can be found in places in West Wales, like in random places in Wales, which is really funny. Like doing my research, it's just typical Welsh people being like, "Oh yeah, it's over there, like it's in that river," and like we're just trying to trick all the English travellers who come over. We're just like, "Yeah, that's his sword in that river."
They probably just tell the travelers, like, go look for the sword. Like, it's like a kind of a funny joke to play on them.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm reading this really good book. I can't remember the name actually, but it's all about LGBTQ people of Wales. So that's kind of basically what I wanted to say as well. Just because you can't find LGBTQ plus characters in mythology, there's still so much rich history in Wales. Just looking towards them, really. And there is one lady named Peggy who is part of the LGBTQ. And this English traveller came around because he was writing a travel book. And he heard that this woman lived up from other Welsh people, that she could either be 70 years old, 90 years old, or 130. And when she was 90, she could wrestle any young man from the village and she would win.
Wow.
It's just like all these tales, which I'm just like, yeah, I can imagine my grandmother telling me that.
I love that. I bet there's a lot of women like that in Wales.
Oh yeah, so many. You can't mess with us.
Get ready with me for day 5 of my Pilates challenge and then a casual work from home day. I really want to be comfy today, so I'm going to go with my new Steady State set from Lululemon. I went for the matching hoodie and sweats. I love layering them over workout clothes, especially for early morning classes. The fabric, I believe it's called Superloft, is so soft on the outside and fleecy on the inside. Obsessed. Anyway, that's the vibe for today. See you next time. Shop the new Steady State Superloft now at Lululemon.com.
When you want your spring break to feel like... and your kids' pool day to feel like... and your hotel bed to feel like... ooh, and room service to feel like... because at Hilton, hospitality feels like...
Your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
It matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
Picture this. A curve in the road. A change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
Magical women portrayed in Welsh myth? Like, are they usually goddesses? Are they usually kind of like, magical queens with these powers? Are they usually mortals, or like kind of like how does it work?
Each one is a bit different. So I would say Arian Rod is more of a goddess. You have Rhiannon. She is the High Queen, but she's also otherworldly as well. So she's a goddess, queen, hybrid mixture. And then you have Ceridwen, who is similar, but she's seen more as a witch. So I think that most women in Welsh mythology are seen as witches, magical witches. But I think that is because of the fact that the patriarchy is often scared of women. I think in Welsh mythology, women are feared more because they have those powers and they're always tricked into doing things. They're not overcome in the right way. They're accidentally tricked into doing it by men, and men can't really get away with it by doing it the right way, if you get me.
I actually think it's super similar to stuff you see like in Irish mythology too. It's like this idea of tricking a woman out of her power by sort of a more Christianizing male force. You see it quite a lot, and I think that is about who was writing down the stories and what they wanted to get across. I think what you see very obviously is that particularly Welsh women had a lot of power, and on their own they were incredibly formidable, and the only way to sort of make them docile and get them to do them what you wanted was to trick them.
Yeah, that's really interesting because when we were talking about just in general kind of overarching Celtic stuff, like we drew on a lot of Irish things because that was like kind of easy to find. And it talked about like both people in the marriage bringing like, you know, stuff into the marriage, you know, but like really interesting that women bring things into the marriage in like ancient Welsh culture and have that upper hand.
Yeah, exactly. And it is because women are feared because they have a special power that men could never have. So yeah, it is amazing. And I do really like how Irish and Welsh mythology cross over because it's kind of a nice feeling to have a shared history with a completely different country.
Do you know a lot about how like the King Arthur stories in the Mabinogion? Because they're quite different from like the really well-known King Arthur stories, aren't they?
I don't know that much, but I know a bit about Merlin, but that's because I'm from an area in Wales that shares the same name as Merlin, from Carmarthen, which is Caerfyrddin, and that's like Merlin. And he's thought to have come from Caerfyrddin, because it means oak tree, basically, Myrddin, and Derry as well. And then apparently there was this massive tree in the middle of the town, and if it ever fell, then the whole of the kingdom would flood. So I think it was only like a few years ago that they actually took the tree and preserved it, just in case, so that curse would fall upon the whole town, which obviously it didn't. But they've preserved the tree now and they've put kind of a monument in its place. But I've always grown up thinking that Merlin was a Welshman.
Well, it totally makes sense too because oak trees were sacred to the Druids, and the Druids had their, you know, base of operation in Wales during the Roman invasion.
Wales was the last bastion, wasn't it, Jenny? It was sort of the last strong Druid holdout. They all came from across, you know, Central Europe and Britain, and they stayed in Wales. That was the last center of Druid learning.
Yeah.
And we still see Druids as well in our traditions now. So we have, I don't know if you heard of it, called the Eisteddfod. So it's basically something that you'll probably be forced into do when you're in primary school. So it's basically just like a celebration of Welsh culture. So it's singing, also read out poetry as well. There's disco dancing even. But it's just basically a massive Welsh festival and celebrating Welsh culture and arts. And they have Druids in their ceremony.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just really cool. And they always have they always choose Druids really well. Like they had rugby players do it a couple of years ago, which is really cool. I thought like Welsh rugby players, and they were young as well. So it really brought in this tradition and it was just nice.
So there's this certain like amount of continuity and like a connection to these older traditions. It sounds like you just grew up around this stuff. It sounds so magical.
It is magical. I mean, at the start, it was kind of like scary tales, some of them, because you do listen to them and you're like, goblins. They're like, it is just nice. Like I do feel like more of a connection to the land around me, and because Wales is so rich in poetry and culture and just everything really, and it just kind of makes sense to us. It's kind of like our being. I went to school and I was surrounded by mountains, and you know, you can really feel that presence of nature and everything surrounding you. So when you get into mythology, it just means that everything makes sense and you can really relate to it then. So yeah, I mean, I did grow up around it. It wasn't until now that I've really started with Welsh mythology again, because I got into Greek mythology because there's so much drama and gossip there. I was led into that. But I'm just going to create some drama and gossip in the Welsh mythology, to be honest.
I feel like Greek mythology is sort of like the gateway drug of all sort of mythological interest afterwards. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's the easiest one because it's been so widespread because of colonialism and a lot of other cultures taking bits of Greek mythology and putting it into their works, that it's so easy for a lot of people to get into. It's really readily reproduced a lot. And then once you've sort of gone there, you're like, but what are the other stories? Tell me Egyptian stories. Tell me North African stories. Tell me East Asian folk tales and things like that.
I know. There's so much to read about. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. And they tell us so much stuff about the cultures that came up with them, you know? Do you have any more thoughts about how what Welsh mythology tells you about ancient Welsh culture?
I think there is more about respect, in the sense of respecting the land and respecting each other as well. So there's quite a few times in mythology where people will fall or people will be punished because there's certain rules. So within Arianrhod's tale, so she basically gives birth to these two like entities. One of them is Dylan Ail Don, which is she basically gives birth to two blobs. And there's no other way of saying it, blobs. So one of them is Dylan Ail Don, and he's a sea spirit, and he's an offspring of a merman.
I was going to say, that's got to be a merman's baby.
So he becomes a spirit and ends up in the sea. And then the other one is Llaw Gyffes, and he is born a light, like an orb. And later on in the story, Arianrhod kind of rejects him at birth, which is quite interesting because a lot of goddesses in Welsh mythology are related to motherhood and fertility, but it also shows different sides of motherhood. So you've got Rhiannon, who's very nurturing as a mother, and then you've got Arianrhod, who's quite distant from her children. And when women have children in Welsh mythology, they have to name the child, allow them to bear arms, so to be able to battle in war, and to also show them I read one thing before, like show them the powers of women, basically introducing them to a woman and setting them up with another woman.
Yeah, so they essentially decide who that child is going to marry, not the father. It's very much the woman's choice who they're giving their child to. That's fascinating.
Yeah, basically in like an arranged marriage. And Arianna doesn't want to do any of that. I think because I'll tell the whole story because you wanted me to tell you a story, didn't you? At some point.
Please do.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Introducing Virtuo Up, the latest in a long line of innovation from Nespresso. It's innovation you can touch, sense, and taste in every single cup. With a 3-second start, easy open lever, and dedicated brew over ice button, it's even easier to enjoy your coffee your way. Sip for yourself. Shop Virtuo Up exclusively at Nespresso.com. This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Welcome to your Peloton Pilates era. Trusted by over 2 million members, experienced instructors with true Pilates expertise, offering classes for every level. Choose from 10 to 45-minute sessions with little to no equipment. Anytime, anywhere. And with the cross-training swivel screen, you can move seamlessly from cardio to mat. Press Pilates. Small moves, big impact. Find out more at onepeloton.com/Pilates.
Kayak gets my flight, hotel, and rental car right, so I can tune out travel advice that's just plain wrong.
Bro, SkyCoin. Way better than points.
Never fly during a Scorpio full moon.
Just tell the manager you'll sue. Instant room upgrade.
Stop taking bad travel advice. Start comparing hundreds of sites with Kayak and get your trip right.
Bad advice? You talking to me?
Kayak. Got that right.
So there was this magical magician king called Math, and Math had a curse bestowed on him. So when he wasn't in battle, he had to have his feet placed in a virgin's lap at all times, or else he would die. When he was in battle, he was fine. But when he was at home or out of battle, he had to have his feet placed in a virgin's lap at all times. So basically being cared for by a virgin. And I think that this virgin was probably his property. So they had to protect that virgin's chastity. But his nephews fall in love with Gawain. So Gawain is his maid at this point in time. And Gilfaethwy is one of his nephews. And he actually rapes Gawain and manages to get rid of her basically from the palace and banishes her. And then that means that Math needs to find somebody to basically keep him alive and to keep his feet in their lap. So they look to Arianrhod, who is actually Math's niece. And because she has such a strong tie to the bloodline, because she's the one who carries on the family's bloodline, she's looked to becoming basically the replacement. So they have to test her virginity. And to test her virginity, they place a magic rod on the floor, and Math asks Arianrhod to step over his magic rod. And this is what's written down.
So much symbolism there.
Oh my God.
So much symbolism.
She has to walk over his magic rod. And as she does that, she suddenly gives birth to two entities. So one is Dylan, like I've mentioned, Eildon, and he's the merman's offspring. And then we've got a blob of light, which later on becomes Lle Llaw Gyffes. So Math, the magician, actually tries to conceal Lle from Arianrhod because she doesn't want anything to do with him, because she's so embarrassed at how the men tricked her into stepping over the rod and to revealing that she wasn't a virgin, basically. So she immediately shies away and is just like, fuck you guys, why did you do that? Like, I've had enough.
Yeah, I don't have to justify my life to you.
Everyone here's an asshole. Fuck it all. Like,
I'm just having fun, shagging mermen. That's what I do.
no, like none of this magic rod bullshit. I'm gonna go back to my mermen who know how to appreciate me.
I've got a better magic rod playing at home. I'll play with that.
Right, it's a much more magical rod at home.
It's battery powered as well.
That's right. We've all got listen. Those are very important to have. A woman's got needs.
Listen, that magic rod can go all night. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's right. I do not need your magic rod. In fact, it's not magical.
It's a bit disappointing.
I love it.
Also, keeping your feet in a virgin's lap is one of the strangest geese I've heard of so far.
I know, but Welsh mythology is full of that. So it gets a bit weirder later on in the story. So because Matt is trying to conceal the fact that he actually has Arianna's child, so he places the child in his chest, and the child grows from inside his chest. And because he's in this with like magical wizard's chest, he grows at twice the normal rate. So when he is 4 years old, he's the size of an 8-year-old. So Math tries to reintroduce Arianrhod to her son, and she still refuses to give him a name or anything like that. But Math actually disguises Lle as a shoemaker. And Arianrhod just comments on the boy's appearance and says, oh, he's got very light hair and he's got quite a skillful hand. And that's where the name Lle Llaw Gyffes comes from. So in Welsh, it translates to fair hair and skillful hand. She's accidentally named him then. So that's one of the tricks gone. So the second thing is that he's not allowed to bear arms. He's not allowed to fight. But in some way, can't remember how she doesn't. Oh my gosh, I've forgotten to write that bit down. He's not allowed to bear arms, basically, but they'll find a way. He finds a way somehow. And the third one, which is the most important thing, is the fact that he cannot marry a human woman, similar to Pygmalion and also Eve from Adam and Eve. Math and Gwydion, Lle's uncles, they actually create a woman for him, like the ideal woman, the perfect woman, out of flowers. They make her out of the flower of oak, broom, meadowsweet, and they name her Blodeuwedd, which means flower face in Welsh. So she becomes this flower goddess. And I really struggle with this one. I remember hearing about it when I was about 7 or 8, and I just couldn't get the thought out of my head that she was just flowers. She was a bunch of flowers, because in the story they never gave her a personality or anything like that. So from a young age, I spotted that and I was like, something's going wrong here.
She's just a blank canvas for them to do whatever they want with.
Exactly.
That sounds a little bit Christian monkish in a way.
Exactly. And that's what Lley does. He keeps her in his castle to himself. She does have maids and some lady followers to look after her. But as he goes to war one day, she comes across a man called Gronw. And Gronw and Blodeuwedd actually fall in love at first sight. They love each other. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And he understands how Blodeuwedd came about, and he really doesn't appreciate how Lley has treated her, and how he treats her as basically just this flower woman with no personality or no voice of her own. So they actually plan to kill Lley.
Yes, I am here for this so much.
Love it. She's a fighter.
Go flower lady.
Yes. But the only thing is that Lley cannot be killed indoors or outdoors. So there's kind of like these rules again where he can only be killed in certain places and in certain ways. So he can't be killed in the sky or when his feet are touching the ground. It's just really strange. So Blodeuwedd and Gronw actually make a thatched roof next to a river, and they also craft these spears. So I read recently that the specific spear actually took a whole year to craft. So Gronw was working on that for a year. And they did say that Gronw and Blodeuwedd had slept together for 3 days. And that basically means in Celtic religions that's a marriage. So if you sleep with someone for 3 days, then you're basically married. And I'm thinking if it took a year to craft this tool, I'm thinking they probably would have got married quite a few times in that year.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so Gronw crafts this spear, and as Lley is walking along the river on the way back from war, Gronw actually hits him with the spear, and Lley turns into an eagle and flies away. So unfortunately, they don't kill him, and he is nursed back to health by his uncles Math and Gwydion, who I hate. They're just these wizards.
I was just going to say, I really don't like them.
No, these dudes are toxic.
They're very toxic vibes. Yeah, horrible. So Lley is nursed back to health, and Gronw is sadly killed. Lley gets him killed, and Blodeuwedd is turned into an owl. So that's how that story ends. So that's kind of the reason why for owls, Blodeuwedd is a really ancient term for owls, and their faces, they look like night bloom, so they kind of look like flower faces anyway.
No, I was just going to say, flower face is such an interesting and poetic name for an owl.
Yeah, definitely. Basically, it's said by a monk, basically. So that was Blodeuwedd's punishment, was to become an owl so she couldn't see the light of day again. But then when I was looking through my feminist research, I found out that I kind of thought you could either be a flower girl who waits on this prince all day, every day, and is just flowers, or you could become an owl who is free to roam wherever they want in the night sky, and she's free, basically. She's let loose. And it's just, again, Monk's opinion that it's bad to be turned into an animal, but that happens loads within Welsh mythology.
Oh, and other mythology too. I was just thinking when you were telling me this story, I was like, I'm not sure if this is actually a sad ending, because yeah, she doesn't wind up with the guy, but she also gets to be a top shelf predator.
It reminds me a lot of Atalanta.
Oh, right, the PDA Lions.
She's exposed at birth. Her father is like, you are not a boy. Later on, he finds out about this sort of amazing woman who was raised by bears and is this huntress and is wild. And he's like, that's my girl. I'm going to take that girl and I'm going to get her married to someone because that's how it works. And so she said, all right, Dad, the only way I'm going to marry anyone is if they can beat me in a foot race. Hippomenes is like, I really love this girl. Dear Aphrodite, could you do me a solid? And Aphrodite is like, well, sure. She gives Hippomenes 3 gold apples. Every time it looks like Atalanta's got this lead, he throws these golden apples, and Atalanta is much like me. She's part magpie. She sees a shiny, shiny. She goes, of course, to get these apples. Hippomenes wins. And it turns out that she somehow comes to like and care about him, and they decide to just get it on all the time.
Even though he tricked her into marrying him, which actually a little bit reminds me of Welsh mythology, where you have to trick women because they're too smart and too awesome to manipulate otherwise.
And so eventually they get it on in the temple of someone, I feel like Demeter, but I could be wrong there. And she's like, right, I'm going to turn you guys into lions and you can pull my chariot forever. This was just a bad, no thing to do.
No, bad lions, bad PDA lions, bad.
Like the ancient Greeks, I think, thought that lions could only mate outside of their species. So this punishment was that they would never be able to mate together. But as we all know, that is not true.
Turns out the joke's on the ancient Greeks because they made it all the time.
Exactly. So I think we had your favorite Welsh myth. Can you tell us your favorite Greek or Roman myth?
I don't know. I'm looking around my studio now just so I can get, because I honestly cannot pick my favorite, because the first one that I really fell in love with was Cupid and Psyche. I just love a romantic story, and I like the kinky aspect of it. Like, oh no, you can only see Eros, Cupid in the dark,
I also love that, like, even as a kid, you realized that they were doing it at night. Like, even as a kid, there was no question that they were, like, absolutely having sex at night. And they couldn't see each other.
And that's really hot in a way. Yeah.
She had no complaints, okay?
Oh. But yeah, I really like Cupid and Psyche, and I like Dionysus as well. I can't choose.
We've just been down a giant Dionysus rabbit hole, I guess you could say. And it's so richly queer, honestly. Like, there's so much of, like, gender bending, uprooting the patriarchy and challenging the patriarchy right at its heart by challenging the concept of gender itself that you find in Dionysian myth, which I think is really exciting. And I think it's relevant to now,
Oh, yeah. And he's just so fascinating because to me, when I did a lot of research on him, he's so old. Like, he's one of the oldest gods, but also he just changes so much. And he's sort of shunted to the side as just being the god of this one thing. But he's actually the god of so many other things as well. And when you start looking at him in relationship to, like, the Pythagoreans and the Orphics and stuff, you're just like, what didn't Dionysus do? Like, one of my favorite facts about him was at a certain point in time, the Oracle of Delphi, like, in the winter months, you could go there and get a prophecy from Dionysus as well as Apollo. And I was like, Dionysus, what were you doing? You have a lot of jobs. Just pick one.
And he's going to be absolutely steaming drunk as he's doing it as well.
Well, I guess the thing about him is you're also steaming drunk as you're getting the prophecy. The drunker you get, the more likely he is to be like, hello, future. And you're like, I don't want this future.
It'll be like a ayahuasca experience.
Well, it might not just have been alcohol. There might have been other drugs involved, or other, like, things that we don't know about. Like, I know that they believed really strongly that snakes were these, like, liminal messages between the worlds, and that's why you see them a lot with Hermes and Apollo and Dionysus, and they're very sacred to them because they can move between the worlds, and these were all gods who were sort of moving between the worlds.
Do you think there were magic mushrooms there as well?
Oh, I'm sure there was. I didn't do too deep a dive. I was like, oh man.
That's probably where all the Mabinogion came from, to be honest. Magical rods, mermen.
So what are the themes that you see, like, repeating themselves from your Greek mythology work into your Welsh mythology work?
I would say strong female characters. I mean, that's kind of what I started off doing. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like we're, especially now on Instagram, I feel like feminism has gotten to the point where women recognise that they can be confident now, and they can't, they don't need to be told so much, as in, like, body positivity and all that. We know that now. We know that we're worth it. So it's just kind of showing off that, and just showing off as goddesses ourselves, and really appreciating ourselves and appreciating each other. So it's not as in, like, trying to inform girls on feminism anymore. It's basically just celebrating it and just having fun with it. So I think that's kind of what I do. And also bringing in LGBTQ as well. I mean, I feel like starting off with Greek mythology, it really helped me discover my own sexuality and my queerness, and being able to present that and doing it in a way that's so public, but having, you know, the historical facts of ancient Greece behind that as well. And so when other people would see my work, people wouldn't feel like they were so alone if they knew that they were queer and they had something to fall back on, which has always been the case with Greek mythology. It's always been written, it's always been spoken about, and especially queer relationships. So I basically don't want young people thinking that they can't express themselves or express their queerness. And if they see me doing it, and doing it even within Welsh mythology and doing it as a Welsh lady, I hope that people do, you know, resonate with that.
How do you find queerness coming up again and again in your art?
I feel like I can't really escape it, really, because I've always been so interested in queerness. Like, even when I was quite young and I didn't really understand it in myself, I was always so drawn to characters in soap operas and stuff like that who were queer and who were gay, lesbian. And I just thought that it was so nice to see that represented on TV, even though not all of the storylines were really positive. It was still so interesting and just something so different, because where I grew up, it wasn't very progressive in West Wales, even though, like, it depends on the people really, but it's quite tough sometimes when you're in the middle of nowhere and you can't really relate to anyone. I just love queer love. Like, I just love the fact that you can like, what I really enjoy with my art is that people just message me on Instagram and they say that I've inspired them. I think that's the coolest thing ever, especially if they're queer and especially if they didn't feel like they could before.
You play a lot with, like, you know, different body types, and I really love, I think it's your Ariadne images that I've seen. It's just like a really beautiful goddess who looks like maybe she gave birth at one point, you know? Like, I love that. Like, seeing women's bodies portrayed in a celebratory and also very real and relatable way is.
Oh yeah, and what you said about body positivity and things like that I really love is a lot of your goddesses are, you know, they are not necessarily the tiniest people, and as someone who's not a tiny person, it is nice to see a goddess who isn't perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's for women, it's a lot easier because for women, we understand our bodies. We're all different shapes and sizes, and we know that. So it's really nice just to draw someone who looks just like your best mate because you think that she's a goddess.
Absolutely. Like, we're all goddesses. Damn it.
And just doing that, basically. I do really enjoy just creating these women and creating the characters. And when I don't really ever think about body types anymore, because I used to want to be a fashion illustrator when I was a teenager and a fashion designer, and I remember drawing the figures and just thinking, this is so boring. I don't want to draw anything for someone who's quite small and just more traditionally, you know, beautiful.
So important to see. I think, like, it's really easy sometimes to think, like, not to really look back at how far we've come in a lot of representation and how important the work that you and other artists are doing to make sure that that is out there and celebrated and people are able to really feel connected and part of it.
This has been really, really fun. Mary, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me. I've had so much fun.
Can you tell everyone who's listening where they can find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at MythsnTits. So everyone thinks I say mitts as in gloves, but I'm saying myths as in mythology and tits as in breasts. There's a link to my Etsy store in my bio there, and I'm also on TikTok as well. I'm trying to get down with the kids, be cool like a teenager again.
I am not cool enough for TikTok. I've figured that out. Yeah, I'm barely cool enough for Instagram.
I cannot do TikTok, but I try. So I'm MythsnTits on that as well.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. This has been great.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.